welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin.
My name is Tarsha.
And we are, of course, the Crawleys, and this is Conversations with the Crawleys, the channel that we have dedicated to our conversations that we have all the time about faith, family, relationships, and TV shows that we watch.
Yep.
So if that's content that you enjoy, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hit the like button, request notifications, and we're excited about what's ahead, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
it's back.
It's back, y'all. One of the shows, if you've been a fan of this channel for a while, one of the first shows that we started doing recaps of was Put a Ring on It.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So that show is back, and
for a
second season with Dr. Nicole, who is amazing. We love Dr. Nicole.
Love Dr. Nicole.
All right. And so also, hey, listen, if you're watching this Friday, the 25th, there is going to be a watch party. Look in the description. The information is there. Make sure you register. You're going to see us there. We're participants.
Yes. Come to the party with us.
Hang out with us.
Let's party.
Lots of things happening.
Virtual party.
Make sure you do that. We are very appreciative of the opportunity, and we want to see you there because this season looks like it's going to be an exciting one.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So let's kind of kick into it. Let's kind of talk about, we've got 3 couples like we did last year, right?
Correct.
Some things that we've already seen as far as some changes from how they're doing it based upon some things that we saw last year, right? So the first couple that we kind of get to have the conversation with is LaRonda and Sean.
Right.
And just as a reminder, the way that this show is set up is that it is 3 couples that are long-term relationship.
Correct.
That have not gotten married. They're not no one's putting a ring on anything at this point, right?
But one of them wants to get married.
Right.
And so there's some reservation on the other party or partner. And so they're trying to work through that so they can get to the place where they can put a ring on
Absolutely. It. So the first couple that we kind of encounter is LaRonda and Sean, right? So LaRonda, she's corporate.
Yes.
Sean is entertainment, right?
Yes.
It looks like he's a comedian, writer, sitcom, all that stuff. He's an entertainer.
Right.
And they've been together for 3 years.
Correct.
So the issue with them is that he wants to be financially stable. And I think that for any man, that's kind of the thing, one of the things that may be a barrier,
sticking point.
A sticking point, right? He feels like, I don't have the stability in working in entertainment. There's not that stability, especially if you're just kind of trying to make it.
Right.
Now, if you on Kevin Hart level, yeah, you.
Hey, but Kevin didn't start on Kevin Hart level.
Right. So he's trying to work to that.
Right.
So he wants to be financially stable, but
Correct.
she takes it as excuses.
Right. And I think those are good conversations to have. Like, how can we balance that out? Especially if he's trying to say he's coming from a traditional role, as the man and the provider.
Right.
Is she going to allow him to take the lead in place? Either they're saying, hey, babe, I'm here to support your dreams.
Right.
He even calls himself a creative, and that sometimes you're going to have a high in your income and sometimes you're going to have a low. But I'm here to have your back.
Right.
And I think if they don't have those conversations, he's going to have those feelings.
Right.
But if you want to get married, those are the things you need to say, like, what's yours is mine and what's mine is yours.
And I think it's an understanding. We're just kind of right now just going off of what the initial things, right?
Correct.
So I think that one of the things also with them is that they need to have the conversation, kind of like you said, but have the conversation that if she's going to support him, she's supporting him, recognizing that there might be those rises and dips,
Correct.
those things, right?
Correct.
And him being comfortable with that.
And again, that's about him being comfortable, right? Not having that ego.
Right.
Like, dang, I can't bring in as much as she's bringing in, but on a consistent basis, she's getting reviews.
Right.
So she's getting increases based off her skill level.
Right.
And his skill level can get him to a place.
Exactly.
But it's going to take more of a grind.
Right.
And I think as partners, you got to understand from income. There's sometimes I've made a lot more money than you. And there's sometimes you've made a lot more money than me.
Right.
And we had small kids. So someone had to back off career-wise for us to move the way we needed to
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, but she makes the comment they're in a good space, but things are not perfect.
Right.
And she also makes the statement that she loves him, but they don't have forever, right? So she's putting a little pressure to say, okay, this is what I see as the goal. This is where I want to be. You got some time, but your time is running low, right? So that's one of the reasons that they're on this show,
Okay.
right? All right. And then we have Darian and Alexia. So
Yes.
Darian, you may recognize, he was part of the group Field Mob.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alexia, she played NBA professionally. It sounds like she may have been here,
Overseas.
but overseas more.
Correct.
And they have been together off and on for 14 years, which in and of itself, that's a long time.
That's a long time to have an off and on relationship,
Right.
you know. And so now they're back on.
Mhm.
And so now they're making the decision of making it indefinite.
Right.
But I hear him saying that his concern is that it could go wrong if they get married.
Right.
I'm assuming because of past experience. He's seen other people who've gotten married.
Right.
And I've heard that fear a lot. They'd rather not get committed because they feel if they do get committed, it won't last. But yet you haven't been lasting as boyfriend and girlfriend.
Right.
So there's some contradiction in that statement.
Absolutely.
But again, we'll talk about that F word because we hear
Yes.
the F word fear a lot in the
Yes.
very first
Yes,
episode.
I'm glad you defined that F word because yes, we keep it completely PG here, right? So yes, that fear word. But he's concerned that all the fun is going to stop, right? That's one of his concerns, is that all the fun is going to stop. He recognizes that she's wife material, right? So he
says
knows,
that.
and I can understand being off and on for 14 years because they're in different places.
Right.
He's traveling with his group.
Right.
She's
Pursuing
she's
their own
over
careers.
in Europe, what have you.
Right.
So now that they're together, it's in some respects, it's also how do we operate together in the same place? Because that may not have been something that they've done long term, right?
Right, because we've known people who played, WNBA,
Mhm.
and they indicate, in their relationship, it's always refreshing when they come back together, and they make it work when they're apart.
Mhm.
But now that they're together
And it's
full
full time.
time,
Listen,
then it's not the
that
same.
changes some
It
things.
changes some things.
Right.
So I think they're on this journey in the process,
Mhm.
and we're going to see how it really works out because he even says that she treats him like a king.
Right.
Like he knows she has his back.
Absolutely.
And a lot of men can't say that about the woman they're
Right.
with.
So for some, that's kind of the sticking point, is that I'm not treated the way I feel I should be treated.
Right.
So therefore,
Right.
in all honesty, he's staying all the things that is like, dude, just go ahead and wife her up.
Right.
He's saying all the things, but
He's afraid once he put a ring on it, then he's gonna walk away.
Right.
So
And that's the thing that I think we appreciate about this show, is that it doesn't just deal with the surface.
correct.
Right.
We get to the
We
nitty-gritty.
get to the nitty gritty. We get to the past. We get to the present. We
Oh,
get to how
in the
we can
sea.
get to the future. So listen, definitely make sure you are sticking around for this season because there's a lot more to come, right? And then Eric and Jessica.
Yes.
So Eric played football for the Falcons. He played for the
Right.
Bears a little bit.
Yeah, you're Bears.
I'm a Bears
The
fan.
Bears.
I'm a Bears fan because we finally got a good quarterback again. All right, so I'm sticking with my Bears. All right.
You're diehard Bears.
I
You got
am,
it.
yes. All right,
Mhm.
because I've been there through some tough years. All right, but Eric and Jessica, they met on IG.
Correct.
IG.
Everybody met. Listen, y'all meeting on IG strong in the DMs.
When we started dating, there were no apps, right?
Right, there was no apps.
There was no apps. But listen, I don't know, because we hear about Tinder, we hear about all these other things, right?
Just get on the IG.
Just get on IG and see, because two of these couples met through IG, right? So hey, slide in some DMs, see what happens, right? But they've been together for 4 years.
Yes.
And for them, it's some trust issues.
Right.
What we find out, it seems, is that when Eric first met Jessica, she says he was in his whole phase.
Right. And he admits he had a girl here and a girl there and a girl everywhere. Everywhere, girl. So,
If you know the Ludacris song, that's what popped into my head right now, right?
So
Area codes.
So then you have to think about, he says, and are we talking about dates or no? We're just talking about
We're gonna get to
introduction.
dates in just a moment, yeah.
But so we'll talk about that a little bit more, but they indicate that their relationship didn't start the way either one of them were thinking.
Right. Now, she does make a statement that we're going to talk about it because I took a little issue with it. And when you watch the show, watch the episode, see if you take the same issue that I took with it.
Are you going to go there now?
Well, that's
Okay.
part of the introduction of what
well,
she
you're right.
that
Go
was when
ahead.
she introduced herself.
Okay, go
She
ahead.
said that the marriage would, because when she's talking about why she wants to be married, she says that it would put a period on everything she has worked for in the relationship. Jessica, listen, let's talk right here. Okay.
You just starting out like
Let's-
Uncle Uncle Kevin. You're
Hey,
Uncle
listen,
You're Uncle Kevin.
that's what y'all come to this channel for, right? You get both perspectives. You get the male and female perspective.
Hey, handle it.
So let me help you, Jessica. When you get married, that's not a period on the relationship. That's a comma or a semicolon starting a new thought. It just simply is a transition into a deeper part of the sentence, if you want to use that period statement, right? The actual period of a marriage or a relationship is that death till death do you part. That's the goal to complete the full thought, the full sentence of a relationship, right? So I get what you were saying, that yes, it would kind of mean that you put in the effort and got something out of it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, your marriage, or excuse me, your wedding, because that's kind of what you're thinking, right?
Right.
Your wedding is really just a celebration that you are acknowledging your relationship to the world.
Right.
But now you are doing more work. Can we just be honest? You are doing more work
Who you telling?
after marriage than you did before marriage.
Right. It doesn't end, right?
Not at all.
And I think everyone gets the sense of like, man, I'm putting so much effort. I'm showing this person I want to be with them.
Right.
I'm trying to be faithful to them in the commitment we have together.
Yep.
Then why don't you want me? And I think this is the way women should say this to men. I want to carry your name. What man doesn't want to hear that from a woman? I want to carry, and something, if you don't want to carry the name, obviously you're not going to change your last name.
Right.
But to me, it's only defined in court. That name means something. Like when you're on your deathbed, I speak on your behalf.
And that's the other thing. I think that for us, again, full disclosure, we're pastors, we're authors, we're entrepreneurs, all those things, right? And so we do come from the spiritual aspect of marriage, right?
Right.
But if that's not your thing, here's the thing. Marriage also, there is, especially in our society, there's the legal portion of it. And that's the wanting to make sure that both parties are taken care of. If something happens to her, guess what? I get to speak on her behalf. Right, instead of your mom.
And trust me, I mean, and so I think, and we don't think that way sometimes, because I know we can think very technical,
right?
And I get where she's coming from, but we have to also realize that marriage is so much more,
right?
That we don't take the time to glean from when we're in that moment. And it's like, I hear Eric's side is like, I want to do that. But the trust and the different things that we set up is now in our way.
Yeah. So here's one of the first things that we noticed is different this season than last season.
Okay.
Dr. Nicole asked them to write down their boundaries for each other for their dates.
It was good.
Right? And so it was no touching,
no licking, no sticking.
Yeah, he said no kissing, no licking, no sticking.
I could get that 3. I was like, all right, I'm with you, Sean.
But then she said, all right, cool, tear them up.
Tear them up.
Because she said the boundaries that you put on each other, really at the end of the day, that won't work. Right? And I think if we look at, again, because we watched last season, if you watched the last season, you know that boundaries came up for Michael and Shay, right?
Right.
Michael kept having to try and operate by boundaries that Shay wasn't operating by.
Right.
Shout out to Mike and Shay. We see y'all still together. Congratulations, right? But this season, she's like, look, there are no boundaries except the ones that you place on yourself.
Yes.
Because that's going to help us to be authentic.
And what's so funny, and I don't even know, Eric said something which I thought was great. And I don't know if it's Jessica, right? That's his partner, is like, he says a relationship, it's not a relationship if we don't have any rules. It's not a relationship. So I don't know if she really hears him, that he's saying that he places rules in his relationship to keep boundaries for himself to be with his girl. And he's like, if there's no boundaries, like how does this operate? We're single then, right? So you hear that he is emotionally and mentally thinking like he's in a relationship.
He's making the connection. And
he
says this a little later. He says she hears what she fears.
Right.
Which that's a mouthful right there.
That's a mouthful right there.
That Jessica hears what she fears.
Right.
So she doesn't hear when he's saying, there's got to be there. Why aren't there rules? We got to have rules. There's supposed to be boundaries in this
Right.
thing for us to be
Right.
a couple, right?
But I think it's really good for them to set their own standard, because when you're talking, this is just not just for now.
Right.
This is what she's teaching. Dr. Nicole is saying this is going to set up your marriage.
Right.
We have boundaries.
Yep.
Have I given you any boundaries?
Mm-mm.
I have not given you any boundaries.
Mm-mm.
But I do set boundaries for myself.
Right.
I tell Kevin all the time, I don't like or accept friendships with dudes who do not have a shirt on. If you're trying to thirst trap me
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have a shirt, I don't even befriend you.
Right.
We don't even go there. That's a boundary I decided to set concerning my social media.
Yep.
And so that helps me to regulate what my rules is
Right.
in my relationship, to know that he can trust what we have together because of what I set for myself.
Exactly. So then the guys do start going on dates, because this guy date first.
Guys get to go first.
And watch Eric's face. Eric is cheesing about going first, right?
No, Darian is like all into it.
Right. So Eric and Jessica is the first one that we see. Eric about to go on a date with Shamara. And Jessica does remind Eric that he's setting the standard for their dates, because he's throwing on the cologne that she bought him.
Okay.
You know, and
got all the chains on.
Yeah, he's looking like a mini Mr. T at that moment, right?
He got it on thick.
So he goes on the date with her. He says she is near perfect.
He says that for her?
Yeah.
Did he say near perfect? Okay.
No,
he doesn't say
I'm sorry. Jessica says she is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So Jessica's looking at her. It's like, okay, yeah,
She looked like a model. I mean, hey.
Right. Now, Jessica tries to give a 1 hour curfew.
Right. We just talked about rules, right? That quick, we done snapped out of it, right?
Quickly out of it, right? So when Eric and Shamara do go on their date, he kind of does let her know about kind of how they got to this situation as far as the trust and what have you. And Shamara's like, look, I just want honesty.
Yeah.
If it's we're just dating and we're seeing other people,
let me know. Let me know.
But if I'm expecting, if the expectation and the communication I get is that I'm the only one, then I shouldn't see you out with somebody else, because then that changes things, right?
And he makes a statement that you can't tell women the truth. And I think that's where there's a disconnect. You have to be honest to say, some women are good with that. You're going to date multiple people? I'll date multiple people.
Right.
Long as that person knows. But if you make them, baby, you're the only one. I only have eyes for you, and it's not true, then why am I messing with you?
Right. And it's also letting people know where things are, so that they can make the decision,
so they can
whether
make
or
the
not they
choice.
want to continue with that, right? Because if let's say if Eric had said to Jessica, I'm dating other people, and been upfront and honest about it, Jessica then has the decision to make: do I care enough about him? Do I think that there's a future here that we'll still date, and I'll still date other people, but I still want to make sure that there's some form of connection here, or that's a deal breaker for me. I can't do that, so I'm going to go and find somebody who wants me and only me, right? And so then we have Alex and Darian. She's talking about that she's bothered by his excitement about the date.
Right. I mean, I could see that, right? Because you want him to be like concerned, or like, oh, I really don't want to do this.
Right.
But at the same time, she knows her man. He's a very outgoing. He just seemed like a fun, bubbly person.
Right.
So even in this experience, he's going to try to enjoy it.
Right. Because of the couples, I mean, he's part of a rap group.
Right.
So he's entertainer. So he's always kind of out there, right?
Right.
And so she seems more laid back of the two.
Correct.
And so therefore, when she sees that excitement about him going with another woman, that's kind of irritating. So he does go on a date with Kai.
Right. And he's like, Lord Jesus, why did you put me in the den?
He's like, listen.
He feel like I've been set up to temptation, but again, he's very respectful.
Right.
and his date is he's like, this date coming strong.
She is like, look,
like Brute or
if
Cologne.
if I got one shot, I'm taking it right now.
Right
I am
now.
shooting my shot.
She is shooting her shot.
So she is like, she's asking him, okay, if I kissed you,
Right.
would you like it?
Right.
And he's like,
He's telling the
of
truth.
course I would like it.
Right.
I don't know that I would want you to.
Right.
But I would like it.
Right. Right.
And then he's, there's the conversation, or the part of the conversation where, there's talk about freedom, and she's
Right.
like, do you want to be free with me?
Right.
Listen, she was pouring it on thick.
She was pouring it on
She was like,
thick.
look, she has an attraction for him, right?
Right. Right.
So and based upon the way when he came back and was talking
Right.
with Alexia.
Oh, well, he was trying to talk with Alexa.
Yes, because he does come back from his date with
Right.
Kai, and he's talking to Alexia, right?
Right.
And he's like, she starts off, did you like her? Do you like her? Da, 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 because he
Right.
does start comparing her, right?
Well,
he does start pointing out her body parts.
Right. Well, he's trying to indicate what he's thinking.
Right.
And we're seeing her body language.
Mhm.
And she's not listening. She's thinking about what she's going to ask.
Right.
All women do that. I've done it before.
Yes,
You
you
know. So I'm really just focused on what I want to get out. I'm focused on my anxiousness.
Right.
I'm focused to hear and not to hear what, again, we talk about, about feelings are not, what was it? And I lost the thought. Where her feelings are not the same as our fears, I believe,
Okay.
is what we're stating. But anywho, but at that moment, when a man is trying to share
Mhm.
and he's not being secretive,
Right.
listen to him. If I
Right.
can give any tip you get out tonight, if he's coming home and saying, babe, I want you to know what my feelings are. She looks like the girl that I would date when I was in the rap world, because that's what I got from her.
Right.
She's the girl with the big booty and the big boobs who may not have no brain that's coming towards me
Right.
aggressively.
Because he says that she fits the criteria of what a celebrity would like. So he's a celebrity, right?
Right.
He's like, you would kind of be what I would go for, right?
Right. And what he doesn't communicate well is that, hey, babe, this girl was listening to me while I was talking. She wasn't thinking of her next question.
Right.
She was allowing me to be me. So
Mhm.
I think if he had said it a different way,
Mhm.
then she would be able, hopefully, to hear it.
Right.
But because he did come off with those words,
Mhm.
it just made her more defensive.
Right. Right. And then Sean and Rachel.
Mhm.
Sean goes out on a date with Rachel. Now, LaRonda of the couples, I think she handled it the best.
She was at the door with
She was
him
like at the door
and hugging him
the
too.
girl too.
The girl was like, "Oh, y'all couples are friendly. I should be watch out for y'all. Y'all had me in a little."
So LaRonda's like, it is what it is.
Right.
Almost, she's like, listen, you're gonna go on this date. We're gonna see what happens, right?
Well, and she admits she was a little more anxious, right?
Right.
So those who wants to be in control have to always look like
Mhm.
they're in control.
Mhm.
And so at this point, she has no other choice,
Right.
but she not allowed, but she meets her at her door, tries to be friendly
Mhm.
as they leave.
Right. And so he has a good date with Rachel.
Right.
He makes a statement that she's almost too perfect.
I need to know what he sees as perfect, because there's no such thing as a perfect person.
True.
And I feel like if he's gotten the opportunity to know her, she's going to have some flaws.
Right.
So I'm wondering what was the biggest fear for him
Or
that
what
he
was
didn't
the
want to
or what was the
pursue.
thing that he's looking at her and saying? Again, it sounds as if every person has, these are my buttons, right?
Right.
These are my
Yeah.
things, my criteria.
Right.
And what he's saying is that what I get from him is that he's saying that she almost checks all of the things for him.
Right.
So, and then there's the question of, okay, what does she check for him that maybe LaRonda doesn't check for him,
Right.
right?
And he doesn't want a second date.
Right.
And Loretta was like, okay, so explain that to me.
Mhm.
If you found someone who you're indicating is perfect, why don't you want to explore this? Because this is what the process is.
Right.
And so, we're still at the beginning to kind of get to know what he's saying and what that means for him.
Right.
Because we can all say the same word, but it means something different
Exactly.
to us.
Exactly.
And so, but, she does kind of, I feel like it was a threat. She was,
Yeah, she does. LaRonda does make kind of a threat about, actions have consequences or something to that nature,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Is that a threat?" And she's like, "No." But then
Dr.
Dr.
Cole
Nicole was
didn't
like,
say, nah, it's not a threat. You're
she's
just
like,
controlling.
right. And so, and I love this again is why we love Dr. Nicole, because she will call people out
She'll
on
call
this
you
stuff,
out.
and you're like, oh yeah, that is kind of controlling, right?
Right,
Because that's what exactly what it was. It was
right.
designed to elicit the behavior that she wanted out of him, right?
That's good.
So Sean, he when they come back and talk about their dates, he does recognize that he can stay committed,
Right,
talk to a woman and not necessarily be like, look, let me slide in your DMs, all of that
right,
stuff, right? So I'm
right.
glad that Sean had that moment of enlightenment, right?
And I'm sorry, it's the first episode, but Shaw reminds me of Cat Williams. So just put it in the comments. If he sounds a little bit like Cat Williams to you, let me know if you pick up on that.
He does have
I
an
was like,
animated voice,
yeah,
yes.
I was like, I mean, he kind of, if you close,
You
but
squint
yeah,
really, really hard. Okay.
but he gives me that Cat Williams
I
vibe.
get what you're saying, because yes, his voice is
Mm-hmm.
animated. If he has not thought about it, he might look into voiceovers because he has that kind of voice that you might
Mm-hmm.
expect to hear in commercials and in cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
new hustle.
listen, we are all about one providing feedback and recapping. But
Tips
listen, if we got you a tip, listen, run
for
with
new
it.
hustle.
Just cut us
Right,
a
little
commission
finder's
check or
fee.
something,
Right.
right? All right. So then Eric also talks about he had a good date. He makes the statement that if he was single, he still got it.
He still got Eric. Eric's like, hey, I was putting it on her. She was gonna be ready for me,
Mhm.
And we always want to feel that way, right?
Right.
With the person we're with.
Right.
And I think even Darian kind of makes this statement about, man, it's like that feeling again.
Right.
And then that puts in the question, are you guys dating?
Right.
Because even when you decide to be a full-time couple, you're living
Mhm.
together,
Mhm.
you should still always be dating each other.
Right.
We're 25 years in. We still go out on dates.
Absolutely.
But we have to make that intentional,
Right.
right? And we spend time together. We're dating, even
Right.
though we're committed
Mhm.
to get dressed up,
Mhm.
have a nice dinner, talking about each other, where we see each other individually, and then
Right.
sharing those passions with each other.
Absolutely. And so when Eric is talking, um, the question turns to
Mhm.
Jessica, and Jessica basically says, well, all he wants is sex. All he's trying to do is find somebody to smash. And she has a fear, there's that word again. She
Mhm.
has a fear
Yeah.
that if they were not together, that all he would do is go back into his whole phase, right?
Right.
And so Eric makes a statement that she hears what she
She
fears, which again
fears.
is a powerful statement.
Mhm.
And then Dr. Nicole asks her, and she feels that his fixation, if his fixation
Mhm.
is on who he can smash and
Mhm.
not on building with her.
Mhm.
When again, if we look at what he's saying and
Right.
his actions are he's in a committed relationship. He's
Right.
talking about rules.
Right.
So it sounds as if he wants to be in the relationship.
Right.
But if all she's hearing and accusing him of is you want to smash,
Right.
then it's hard to move forward because in some respects she's still living in the past. And that's a wound that has to get healed.
It has to be, because if he's going to propose, he has to propose in the now.
Right.
He can't propose in
He
the
can't
past.
go back and change what happened.
He can't change how they met, how they started their relationship.
Right.
But I'm looking at it, right, because we all have perspective.
Right.
I'm watching you, but didn't he pick you? Isn't he sitting there beside you?
Because if there was other options on the table, he chose you.
He chose you.
Right.
And so we see that he chose you. We see that he's sitting there to go through this process with you. Then how can you decide to switch what's in your mind
Right.
to fit where you currently are to get what you said you put in the relationship?
Right.
But if you're putting fear in the relationship, if you're putting mistrust
Mistrust.
in the
Mhm.
relationship, how do you gain what you're seeking
Absolutely.
with those items in the relationship?
Absolutely. And then the last, so Eric decides not to go on a second date.
Mhm.
Sean decides not to go on a second date.
Right.
Darian is talking again about his date with Kai,
Mhm.
and he said that the date reminded him of the fun and flirtiness that they had, right? Like you were
Yes.
talking about as far as that dating portion.
Yes.
And so the issue though with Alexia is that she then is like she's upset because she's being compared
Mm-hmm.
to someone that he
Mm-hmm.
just met for one day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in what I hear Dr. Nicole kind of getting at
Mm-hmm.
is do they really want to hear the experience of the person that they're with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to hear that, then that means you have to listen
Right.
and be okay with listening to their experience.
Right.
And she's not at this stage in this, what we're hearing and what we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing. It does not look like she's okay with hearing it. She
Right.
wants to hear it,
Right.
but then she wants to confront what she's hearing in some
Right.
respects, right?
Well, and again, what is she hearing with? She's hearing with fear,
hmm
or is she hearing with the open ears that he enjoys being with her?
Right.
When they had those fun times, he's reminiscing of the past with her.
Yep.
So even though he's sitting with another girl, only thing he's thinking about of what they had.
Yeah.
To me, that'd be like, oh, so only thing I need to do is to bring back the flirtiness. Only thing we need to do is go out again.
Absolutely.
And those are easy things they can do if she decides to what? Listen.
Excellent. Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So then we are left really with a decision cliffhanger of whether or not Sean will go on
Not
his
Sean.
second, excuse me, Darian will
Yeah.
go on his second date.
Right.
And it sounds like, and again, if you watch the clip for the rest of the
Yeah.
season, you see Kai show up again. So
Right.
we know, yes, it looks like
Right.
he went on that second date with Kai.
Right.
But the reasoning behind it, what I hear is that he's doing it because he's saying, you know what, if I'm going to do this process,
Right.
I find her attractive.
Right.
She's kind of what I would go for.
Right.
Let me see if this is enough to pull me from what I have,
Correct.
or if I'm good with what I have.
And he's trying to follow the process. Now
Mhm.
she's causing it disrespect, but you're in the process, boo.
This is the process y'all signed
This
up
is
for.
the process you signed up for. Now, if you were out on the street and he's going and dating behind your back,
It's completely different.
that's completely different. But you need to have your experience and you need to allow him to see his experience.
Yep.
Because so far, everything is bringing it back to your relationship,
Yep.
bringing back to what he missed. Now that he sees that's what he's missing,
Yep.
he can even help
Yep.
to rekindle what he lost.
Exactly. All right. So that's it for this first episode.
Ooh, it's
Again,
going to be a great season.
this is going to be a good season. Make sure, again,
Yes.
in the description, there is the link to the watch party. It is the only official watch party for the second season, first episode
there was
of Puerto
drawings.
Rican. There's some drawings. There's some special guests. We're going to be
Yes.
participating in
We're
some
gonna
portion
be
of
there.
it. We'll be
Join
there.
us.
Make sure you hit that link in the description. Register, and we will see you at the watch party. And then again, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button.
Oh, please subscribe. We need 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
Don't play.
Yeah.
You like us.
If you're at this point right now, you're watching this, hit that subscribe button right now.
Subscribe button.
And in fact, also go to my website, kevincrawley.com. Shirts like this, the LeBron is not my GOAT shirt, and other shirts that you see us wear on this channel, you can get those on my website, kevincrawley.com. That's it.
That's it.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.